Hey Laurie, it's Yoni. Hi, how's it going? I haven't spoken with you in ages. I've just been really muddled up this term, so I'm kind of like trying to repent for my sins and basically leave lots of comments for people in video form because I'm really slow at typing. I've had a look at your peer review and your assignment for this week. It looks really cool. I really like the theme for it. It really reminds me of a video from YouTube with two cats, which I think I might link into this as well. Basically, yeah, I mean, it looks, just good. I think that one of the things you can take away from the YouTube video is very much the sense of the timing, because it's really cool because that there's one character that's moving a lot and he's doing things, and the other one's just looking, and then bang! It's a quick kind of like, it's just like a drum beat where it's like, and that's kind of like the timing that I think that this needs essentially. So it needs to really pop at the end of it. Yeah, looking at it, kind of like frame by frame, few things that I can kind of like see is that the foot tapping, I'd almost like start it from the beginning of the shot and basically have it going and basically just stop kind of like halfway when he's through kind of like doing his martial arts things, because currently it pretty much stops just as soon as he gets into his final pose. So it's kind of like start it, have it already going, and then basically stop, kind of like when he's starting to come towards the Stewie that's on the left hand side. And yeah, you might want to add a bit of slight animation to the hips while he's doing the tapping. Just have that move up just a little bit, up and down, as well, to go with the foot itself. And the pose, the general attitude, kind of like of the Stewie on the left. Currently, he looks like grumpy parent type of pose, if you know what I mean. And I think you might want to put him in a more kind of like a maybe martial arts master type of pose. So it might be, very, very, very straight back with a bit of a curve into it. And basically, the chin up slightly as well, because it's slouching currently. It depends on the type of character you want to go for, but if you're looking for kind of like that martial arts feel, that might be something that might be good. And think of the feet almost like being in a V shape, going down towards the legs instead of having them so spaced out. And maybe that could just make the pose that little bit more appealing to an extent. But with your character on the right, there's a few things that jump out at me. The main one is balance to an extent. That is because we've got, he's basically shifting from one pose into another. So if we look at, for example, frame 27, is that right? Dun, dun, dun. Sorry, frame 23, he basically shifts his weight over towards the right of screen, so he'd want to put all of his weight on his left leg to an extent. You might want to basically bend the knee outwards a little bit and actually put the foot pointing towards the right of screen instead of having it pointing towards the left. So basically he steps back and the foot, he basically steps, this would be two motions really, it would be kind of like, he opens his foot out to one side and then he steps to basically move his balance. So basically I think that that's something that you could kind of like just improve that pose a little bit. And also with his arm on frame 23, what you could do is basically have the arm actually bent down a little bit and made a fist. So basically move it away from the actual body itself. So basically his left arm, the one that's closest to the edge of screen, push that away. So currently it's like flat down like this. You'd want to have it like this, kind of like with a bit more tension. So, and that will go well with the hand that's kind of like up like that. And then in the next pose, when he goes down into so look into frame 60, I think it is. Yeah, frame 60. Try having most of the weight actually over the left foot at this point. So before, he just moves a little bit. Now it's basically all the weight shifts over, so that when he's got his foot down on his heel, to essentially stay in balance, he needs to have more weight on the left. So it's almost like his hips have to be exactly on top of his ankle. Arch him forward, and then a small little detail as well is keep the hands essentially separate from the face, because currently they're just touching like this. You might want to push them out just a little bit more. Coming into the pose on frame 77, 76, yeah, well, that pose there. So frame 76, what you want to do is basically shift the weight in the other direction, so that now the weight is actually further on the front foot over here. So basically weight passes from his left foot over to his right, and the hips go with that essentially. So basically the other foot would be left behind a bit more. So basically you want to point it out, still outwards, and basically bring the hand up like that. Now the thing is that he's kind of like in a pose where his right hand, the one that's low, it isn't really doing much, which is the thing. You might basically want to basically have it, instead of having the hand kind of like straight like this on the screen, think about putting it at a diagonal, because instead of having it like that where it looks very, stationary, try having it kind of like at an angle. So he might be kind of like elbow up and hand kind of like in a pose like this, or I think something like that, elbow up or elbow down, but try to basically get him into a diagonal, and basically that will basically look more kind of like pleasing. Even if he's doing bad kung fu, he still wants to kind of like do weird things that basically will make him look dynamic. And then when he takes the step, you want to basically again, transfer weight slightly, be in between both of the hips. That's fine. But again, with the hands, this is kind of like what you need to do is basically get the torso of the body, actually rotate it clockwise. So if you're holding him like that, just rotating around so that his left shoulder is forward and his hand comes in front of his actual head, and so that the right hand actually drops down, and also make sure that the hand is far away from the actual body. So it's like, always keep that idea of silhouette, so keep the hand, move it away from the body so it doesn't look like it's stuck onto it, and that should look fairly cool. The pose on frame 95, great, just same deal again. This is actually pretty good. You just need to stretch the hand forward a bit more. And one of the things that you can do as well is that try using a combination of hand as well. Sometimes you've got the hand like very, very, very straight, or you've got it almost like this. Try basically putting the hand in a position where you can see some force, so either kind of like that, with the knuckles kind of like really tight on, fists, and basically, if he is going to chop, just add a little bit of tension in the actual figure, so he's always like really, really, really strong posing. Okay, frame 112, really cool. I think you can move the hips very, very slightly towards the left of screen, so towards the other figure essentially, and bend that knee forward just a bit more. Lift the ankle up a little bit and make it be holding more of the weight essentially. So his back leg, his right leg essentially on frame 112, lift it up a little bit so that he's actually resting on the toes, because that looks a bit more stable, and then basically keep him pretty much exactly the same before, and maybe do some more wild gestures with the hands. And then basically you need the going into the other pose in frame 122, really cool as well. That one's fine. And the thing is, the gesture that the master is going to do, think about it in terms of currently, because it just looks like a push, so it's like that, very kind of like, straight towards the target. If you're going for the slight martial arts look, something that might be able to help you is, instead of going straight, think about arcs, essentially, and also doing things with the hand that the hand wouldn't normally do, in the sense of, if he's pushing him like that, you can actually swirl the hand and actually have it go down, up, and push like that instead. Of course, in a position where you can actually see it, because he's got his back to you. But the idea is, roughly, think about maybe like a type of S shape towards the actual body and have him push further. And also, timing wise, try thinking about it in terms of, you want to see the anticipation of him going into the pose, basically the hand going, and then a very quick push. It's very much that there'll be a snap, almost like it goes in and out very quickly, and you see the follow through afterwards. So leave kind of like a big gap when he actually hits the character in the forehead, and then just do it very gently off the top like that, very smooth, so it's like bang, bang, and basically do it like that. Look for an arc that you think will work, and make sure that you can see the figure as well. And also with the pose, have him drop that tension that he's got a little bit. So the steering on the left, just make it, when he does the push forward, but not so far forward on frame 145. He's got basically most of his weight forward. He looks like he's about to topple over. Bend him forward a little bit, but keep him graceful. I wouldn't knock the head forward. I would kind of like keep it up and almost like extend the arm upwards, so it's kind of like, so it's this very graceful motion that's like that. But don't lean him forward into the push. Basically make him, counter animate him like that, so he kind of like goes back like that, keeping his balance. Okay, you probably just want to get the line of action right from his heel all the way through the arm, but with the body stretching back. You can rotate the shoulders and the torso a little bit to help you out with that. And then, yeah, I think the stumble off screen is great. In frame 158, he looks a little bit too much in balance. Move the hips a little further to screen right, essentially, and have him basically topple over further. The angle on the body is just fine. And yeah, oh, there was something else I just remembered. On frame 144, his body's really straight when he gets pushed. Try adding a bit more of a curve to his spine. So put his spine roughly in a C shape and keep the hips roughly in the position where they were at. So try to drag a little bit on frame 144 so that the push looks more natural. So it's going to affect head first, upper body, and then the lower body's going to fly off behind it. Think about the bouncing ball, and also that the head is roughly what's going to lead the action, because that's what's off balance. But yeah, great work. A feast for inspiration, pretty much. So loads and loads and loads and loads of lovely, lovely little details in this that that you can just take on for this week. Anyway, hope it's useful, and yeah, hope to talk to you soon. Take care. Have a great week. Bye.